Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the very latest Cemu emulator update, which, oh man, has given us one of the biggest improvements to playability, which affects every single game you're going to want to play on this emulator. This new version is titled Cemu 1.22.12, and at least at time of making this video, it is currently only available to their Patreon supporters, though as per usual, it is going to be available to everyone else absolutely for free exactly 7 days later. This public release for version 1.22.12 is Friday the 7th of May. Now, a lot has changed in this version, but first of all, I'm going to talk about its most hyped feature, do a quick explanation of exactly what it is and how it works, do some benchmarks, and then we'll cover all of the rest of the changes. Now, if you've been using Cemu for a very long time, you're likely already aware that it has both an OpenGL and Vulkan backend for its graphical rendering. However, on the Vulkan API, which has become my own preferred graphical API, they also have asynchronous shader compilation. This async shader update was added in May of last year, and throughout the last 12 months they have gradually been improving this, with the last upgrade I believe being in September of last year 2020, where they gave us a nice little performance jump when using Vulkan, while also improving the speed of async shader compilation itself. Now, if you're not aware or don't know what async compilation or building is, I'm going to do my best to just give a layman's term explanation of it. Basically, if you're using async shader compilation, it allows your game's logic or systems to progress while shaders are compiled in the background. If you've used async shaders on an emulator like Yuzu, Cemu or RPCS3, you'll likely know that when using this, it does result in a graphical pop-in when being utilized. Now, in this new update, they have implemented a brand new dynamic multi-threading mode for async compilation, which is going to be on by default if you're going to use this setting in the emulator. So what exactly does dynamic multi-threading mean? To explain this again, I'm going to just use a layman's example. Let's say, for example, you're using a CPU like a Ryzen 5 3600, which has 6 cores and 12 threads. Then again, for this example, we'll say that you're playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild using this CPU, which, if you're using its multi-core recompilers at this point, is going to be using between 4 to 5 threads out of your CPU, basically leaving you with 7 to 8 threads free for other tasks which need to be done on your computer. What this brand new dynamic multi-threaded async seems to do is utilize however many cores are left on your system to build these shaders in the background as fast as possible. If you were watching very closely at the very beginning of this video, that is how fast the new async shader compilation is. It's so damn fast that you could literally blink and you would completely miss all shader pop-in. Anyway, that's enough talking for now. I'm going to do a quick little benchmark where we're going to compare Vulkan at stock settings, Vulkan with the old method of asynchronous shader compilation, and also Vulkan using this brand new multi-threaded approach. For all of these examples, I've deleted all of my shader caches before playing, and as we're about to see, as I load into gameplay, pop-in is practically non-existent. If you look really closely at the transition between the loading screen and gameplay, you can see some pop-in on Link's character model, but that's pretty much it. That is basically all of the pop-in you are going to be experiencing in this new Cemu update. Yet another thing I've noticed is that at least in the initial shader caching stages of gameplay, when you are building your shaders for the very first time like I'm doing right here, you'll notice that performance in gameplay is actually quite a bit better when using this brand new dynamic multi-threaded approach. That performance boost may not translate over to your own system, but it's just something that I myself have noticed while benchmarking most of my games in the testing for this video. One thing I want to note is that, at least at this point in time, Cemu still needs to compile some shaders synchronously. When it is compiling these synchronous shaders, you are still going to get tiny moments of stutter. One example of a synchronous shader, for example in Breath of the Wild, that still builds is, say, when you do a critical attack on any enemies. So for example, if you hit the horn on a bokoblin and it does a critical attack, that is still going to give you a moment's stutter since that shader cannot be compiled asynchronously. That's just a little bit of information I wanted to include in this video while we're already on the topic of shader compilation. Another fantastic example of just how fast this new async update is can be seen in a game like Mario Kart 8. Let's take a quick little look at an example of exactly what I mean. As I did with Breath of the Wild, I'm going to start things from a loading screen with 0 shaders built, and as we saw in Breath of the Wild, the experience is 1,000 times better. We now get absolutely 0 pop-in whatsoever in Mario Kart 8, and to be honest, pretty much 0 pop-in in any game I've tried so far on this brand new update. The Cemu dev team have done a fantastic job with this brand new async release. As I said at the start of this video, it's not just this async feature that has been included in this new 1.22.12 version. They have also added several other fixes, so let's go over all of those now. By emulating the scratch memory region at the end of a specific address space, they have fixed a crash that would occur during the loading screens of Fatal Frame 5. They added a brand new option to the rules.txt for graphics packs creators. This new setting is a default equals true, which if specified, the graphics pack will be enabled by default in your graphics pack window. This new text option is intended to only be used for workaround graphics packs that have no ill effects on any games in which they are used. They also gave us several input fixes. Firstly, they fixed an issue where the brand new WGI Windows Gaming input would sometimes cause Cemu to not close properly. They generally improved the robustness and stability of a WGI, and they also significantly improved the performance when using their GameCube controller API. In relation to the changes in 1.22.12, that's all we have to cover. However, there are some rumors that the Cemu team are cooking up something very special for their 1.23.0 release. They haven't really given any leaks or teasers as to exactly what that is, but as always, once they release anything on these new versions, or indeed anything in the 1.22 release cycle, I will be sure to cover it and let you guys know as soon as it is released. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Once again, thank you all very much for watching. I greatly appreciate your viewership. If you enjoy these types of update videos and want to help out my channel, you can find a link to my Patreon down in this video's description. Supporting me over there greatly helps me with making videos just like this one, and it also gives you access to a patron exclusive channel over on my Discord server for any possible emulator or indeed computer hardware related issues you may be having. You can find a link to that Discord server down in this video's description. That's going to be it for this one, guys. As always, remember to like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see all future videos from me.